Welcome back to the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore. In today's episode, we'll be talking about love, grace, and gratitude. Stick around to the end because I have a special surprise. There's a picture in our guest bathroom, and until a few months ago, I never really took the time to read it. One day I was washing my hands, as I do often. I decided to, and I really don't know what happened at that moment, but I looked down at the picture that it sits on our counter, and there it was. Live your life with love, grace, and gratitude. It's a simple message, but it's very important to how we live our lives. And then I started thinking even further, like, wow, I had recently been in spaces where the conversation has been about grace and gratitude. And of course, I'm always in spaces where the conversation is about love. I mean, I did publish 2 poetry books dedicated to love, but more specifically, the grace and gratitude part stuck out because right now, people are needing more grace and more gratitude in their lives in addition to love. And then I started thinking about how that message was sitting there the whole time, and I never took the time to read it. And in our lives, how often are things right in front of us, the answers that we may have to certain problems, the questions we may have, and the answer is sitting right there in front of us. But we're too busy going through our routine to take the time to notice it. And so, how different would our lives look if we made gratitude a part of our daily routine? How much more pleasant would our day be if we filled it more with grace, more grace to ourselves, and more grace to others? And think about how much of a positive impact we could have on the world if we became more intentional about spreading love instead of spreading hate. And so after reading that message on that picture, I wrote a poem called Gratitude and Grace. And then I started thinking even further, like, I need to write a blog post about this that I can then in turn into my next topic for my podcast. So here we are. And so I want to look at the message starting off with gratitude, right? So, how far you've come, the progress you've made. A lot of us, especially during this time, have been dealing with stress levels that we've never seen before. And some of us have found ways to deal with that stress and improve on that stress. That's something to be grateful for. And even if you haven't gotten there yet, guess what? You're alive and you have another opportunity and a chance to find a way to deal with that stress. And then I want you to look at the people in your lives. Be grateful for those people who help pull you up and encourage you when you need encouragement. And even be grateful for the people in your lives that you may have to pull up and encourage. Be grateful for the people who aren't in your lives. Some people who were in your lives, they were not a positive influence, were bringing you down. And you know what? You made a decision to remove those people from your lives. So I want you to be grateful for that. Now, I know gratitude comes easy when things are going well and when we focus solely on positive things. But what about when things aren't going well? What about when we have challenges? How easy is it for us to show gratitude then? Well, how much easier would it be if we practice a daily routine of gratitude? If we get into this rhythm of I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. If it's only three things, practice that. You don't even have to write it down, maybe the first couple of times, but after that, make it a mental note of the things that you're grateful for. And scientifically, this does improve things in your life. Gratitude has been proven to improve your physical health, your mental health. If you are practicing a daily routine of being grateful, you have more energy, you're more excited, you're more mentally alert, you're more relaxed. And so that should be something that we practice daily. You can start small, eventually make it big, or you can even start off big, make your list big. Whatever you're grateful for, keep that as a constant reminder of how good things actually are in your lives. Be grateful for the lessons that you learned along the way. What you thought was a failure, but was actually an opportunity to learn and find a different way to get it right. Look back at how far you've come and be grateful for another opportunity to improve and to go even further. And then I want to talk about grace. I really feel like grace is something that we don't allow ourselves enough of because of pressure from ourselves and pressure from others. We're in constant mode of comparison with social media. We compare ourselves to what we see on our timelines and in our news feeds. Sometimes we have unrealistic expectation for our lives in comparison to the lives of other people. But guess what? Most of those people aren't showing us what's really going on in their lives. They're only showing us the edited, polished, and filtered versions of their lives. Most of these people won't even let you know the challenges they have. But if we were able to pull the curtain back, we could see that, wow, this person has millions of dollars, seems to have everything that we want, but they're unhappy inside, hurting inside, don't have a way to deal with challenges, don't have a way to appreciate the simple things and find joy and peace in simple things. Realistically, we don't know what these people are going through behind the scenes, but yet we compare ourselves to their highlight reel. We're only getting a glimpse at the things that are exciting, the things that are fun. Our mistakes don't define us, they don't define who we are. But what does define us is what we do with those mistakes. Do we let them hold us back and cause us to stop trying? Or do we use the mistakes as lessons for us to grow and become better? I know it's easier said than done, and that's, let's be honest, that's because we are our worst critics. We're harder on ourselves than anybody else because we get the full view of ourselves. We get the full view of, full view of our own thoughts, our own perceptions, and things like that. But when you have challenges, look back on the small things and how you've allowed yourself grace to go forward. Something as simple as tying our shoestrings. That was frustrating and difficult at first, but now we tie our shoestrings without even thinking about it. And then what about grace for others? Most of us would appreciate if someone did something new and stepped out of their comfort zone. Most of us can agree that that's a very cool thing, and we would get behind that person and encourage them to try something different. And I mean, we would really be all for them. But what about the people who are trying something new that we don't know What about when you're in a line at a restaurant that you've been to, whether it's the drive-through or standing in the line, but you've been here dozens of times, hundreds of times, and you know exactly what you want and how you want it because that's what you always get. But what about that person who just happens to be in front of you in the line that decided, you know what? I'm going to order something different today. I'm not going to get the same thing that I've always gotten because I want to try something new. I want to step out of my comfort zone. What about those people? Are you allowing them grace? Are you not allowing them grace because you simply think they're taking too long and wasting your time because they should know what they want to order because the menu hasn't changed? Are you sucking your teeth or making noises so they can hear you and hear your frustration with them trying to order something on the menu, trying to order something different? We never know what's going on in people's lives when it seems like they're doing something that they really should be accustomed to doing, even with driving. We've all been guilty of this. You get behind somebody and it seems like they don't know where they're going, especially if it's in the morning and you're on the way to work. You're thinking, well, my goodness, we're all on the way to work, which we don't really know that, but we just assume that everybody's on the way to work because we're on the way to work. And it's like this person seems like they don't know where they're going. What if today was the day that they decided that they're going to take a different route to work to do something different? What if if that day was the day that they decided, what if today was the day that they decided that they needed something fresh in their lives, even if it was as simple as changing the way that they go to work? Are we allowing that person grace or are we blowing the horn because they are slowing us down? Are we revving up our engines behind them because they are slowing us down? What are we doing to allow those people grace? What are we doing to make sure that our frustrations aren't seen to that other person? Because you know what? If it's that person's first time, how we react to that situation may very well stop them from trying something different. Now, it may seem simple, the examples that I made, but the smallest changes make the biggest impact. And some people need those small things to make the big changes in their lives. They just need to get that one feeling of something different to get them moving, get them doing different things. It could be simple as ordering something new on the menu, picking a different yogurt. There's like 100 different yogurts. So if you get behind somebody who's choosing yogurt, you really need to give them grace because you have no idea if they're trying something new or even just trying to find what they're used to getting. But allow people some grace. Like, we don't know what's going on in people's lives. And even if they aren't trying anything new, they could have a lot on their mind. Are we allowing grace to those people? And then I want to talk about love, right? If you've been following me for any time, whether it's on social media, my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog, you know that I'm an advocate for love and kindness. And recently I've, you know, started writing more and more about self-love because, like I said, we're in a stressful time and people need to realize that self-love is very important. It's the most important love because how can you love others if you don't first love yourself? And the whole idea of love was why I created my blog in the first place. I saw a need for people to realize that love isn't painful, love doesn't hurt, and I needed people to realize the beauty in love. Because I don't like this narrative that love is pain. And whenever I have a conversation with someone about love and love hurting and love being pain, every person that's giving me an example of love being pain, love hurting, they always reference a person. And so I look at it like a drunk driver. Okay, let's say you get hit by a drunk driver. When that happens, no one blames the car because it's the driver's fault. Because that person wasn't fit to be driving that car. So that person that hurt you wasn't fit to be handling you and your idea of love. That person misused love when they shouldn't have been handling it in the first place. So if someone hurt you or your heart was broken, it wasn't love or hurt that broke your heart. It was that person. And so I wanted to write my poems to remind people of that. To remind people that love is on our side. Love is our ally. Love is for us and not against us. I wanted to remind people that if your heart was broken, you can love again. If you've never experienced love, there's an opportunity to experience love. If you experience what you thought was love, but you realize it wasn't, guess what? There's an opportunity to experience real love. And loving ourselves is important because when you know how to love yourself, you know how to give love to others. You know how to receive love from others. And so that's why I started writing poems about love and sharing them with people and posting poems about love and messages about love because I wanted to remind people of just how beautiful love is. Love has gotten a bad name, and it's because of the people handling it. And so I wanted to remind people of the essence of love and invite them to the essence of love. And love is something we need more of in this world today. The world seems to be full of hate, but guess what? Hate doesn't run the world, love does. And it's time that we love ourselves more and that we start loving each other more. Love is a powerful thing. One of Martin Luther King Jr.'s most famous quotes about love says, "Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend." Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. How powerful is that? That if you were in a situation with someone who was an enemy and love entered that relationship, just think if you have an enemy and then love entered that dynamic and how love could change that dynamic. An enemy into a friend. A transformation like that is only possible with love. Because hatred keeps us divided, but love brings us together. Love is the glue that we need to bring together this divide. And so I want to encourage you to show more love for yourself through the form of grace and gratitude. Add those things to your life and watch how they impact how you love yourself and how you love others. Like the next time that life seems to get you down, I want you to remember to find gratitude in those moments and keep going. The next time you make a mistake or a choice that you may regret, allow yourself some grace because you have another opportunity to get it right. And everyone makes mistakes. Find opportunities to be kind to each other. Find opportunities to show compassion to other people because guess what? You might be the only person that does. You may be behind that person in line to show them love and compassion. You may be the only person they run into that day that can determine whether they try something new tomorrow or if they just go back to staying in their comfort zone and playing it safe. Just think about when you stepped out of your comfort zone and all the things you were able to do and the people who encouraged you along the way. Even when you thought you were making mistakes, somebody was still there to encourage you with compassion. Someone was there to love on you. Someone was there to lift you up. Even if you had to be the person yourself, you had it inside yourself. You had that in you and you showed yourself some grace. So I just want to remind you to live your life with love, grace, and gratitude. Take the time to pay attention to what's right in front of your face. It might very well have the answer to your problem. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. And as promised, here's my special surprise, a reading of my poem, Gratitude and Grace. Thankful for how far we've come in the journey along the way. Though it looked impossible, we made it this far with so much further to go. Taking time to celebrate the victories and evaluate the losses, making corrections when needed, and improvement to the things that have worked before. Elevating our confidence while eliminating our doubts, loving ourselves more while uplifting others along the way, honoring those who are there for us and remembering to be there for them when they need us most. At the beginning of the day, thanking God for another opportunity to make impact in someone's life, never taking for granted the gift of life and paying it forward every chance we get. Asking ourselves, who loses if we don't win? Doing our very best and never settling for anything less. Living life intentionally and living a life filled with grace and gratitude. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at thebrownsugarcafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.